Hey there, truckers. Welcome to Redneckanize. All things trucking and then some. Hope you enjoy the show.
Well, hey everybody, welcome back. Hey, this is Ed with Redneckanize. You're listening to Redneckanize, all things trucking and then some. You know, we're live here every Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. You can call in at 516-387-1733. We appreciate everybody calling in. We also got a website, redneckanize.com. Don't forget to check that out. And don't forget to go over and check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate all the comments and shares and likes and all that over there. It's been a great success for us, and we've been really excited about keeping it going and everything. So it's growing, and everybody's really enjoying it. So keep that up, everybody, and we appreciate it. So there's another article that I was going to talk about tonight, and this made like the national news. It was at the Fox Business website, foxbusiness.com. They even covered it on one of their TV shows, and we got a little short clip here we can play for you. It's on Varney and Company. I don't know if you guys watch that show. It's pretty interesting. He's always entertaining to talk to or listen to on there. So let's check it out.
Lydia, who is at a driving school in New Jersey. All right, Lydia, will this shortage lead to increased costs?
Hi there, Stuart. Yeah, you know, experts with the American Trucking Associations, they say these costs could get passed along to the consumer, people like you and me. I'm at Easy Wheels Driving School in Secaucus, New Jersey right now. I'm with Victor, who's one of the instructors. We're just taking a spin right now on the closed driving course that students use to practice their driving skills to help get a commercial driver's license. You know, Victor says that one of the issues that's contributing to the shortage right now is the pandemic. Maybe not surprising, but he says it's taking longer for students to acquire a commercial driver's license. It used to take about 2 months. Now it takes as long as 6 months in New Jersey, he says, and experts say that same delay is being felt across the country. Now, the shortage, as you alluded to, Stuart, it actually started in 2019 before the pandemic. The American Trucking Association says there's an estimated 60,000 drivers needed at that time, and they believe that the shortage has just gotten worse as drivers have left the industry, and there's been it's been very slow to add drivers during the pandemic. But they say that if they can't find new drivers and they can't add them here soon, you know, these costs could start mounting, deliveries could slow, and consumers could start paying more for some of their shipments. The good news is, to end on a good note, is that they say anyone who needs a job, truck driving is a great industry to get into, and there are experts like Victor here with Easy Wheels in Secaucus. They're standing ready to help you get a commercial driver's license. Stuart.
Okay, we hear you, Lydia. I might also add it's very hard to find folks with a dead clean license. There you go. Lydia who in driving school. Thanks very much, Lydia.
Oh, that was interesting. Yeah. And Varney put the icing on the cake right there, that it's hard to find people that has a good driving record, a clean record, to where they can be qualified to be insured to have a CDL. You know, if you have any kind of DUIs, DWIs, or any kind of, what do they call it? The reckless driving. You know, there's a big deal where in the CSA scores now, that if you get a speeding ticket of 20 miles an hour or more over the speed limit, and see, that's what happens. All this stuff is that the ads will start there. But anyway, like I said before, if you get a speeding ticket that's 20 miles, I think it's 15 now, but it's 15 miles over the speed limit. So if it's 60 miles an hour and you're going 75 or more, and you get clocked going that fast by a cop and he pulls you over and gives you a ticket, okay, to a normal four-wheeler or anybody that has a regular driver's license, that's really not that big of a deal. I think the law, a lot of places, it's either 25 or 30 is considered reckless driving, but as CDL holder, it's 15. And that's reckless driving. If you get more than, I think it's 3 of those within 3 years, suspend your license. It's done. You're not going to be able to drive truck anymore. And that's not even in a big truck. That's in any vehicle. So don't think that because I'm in my car or on my motorcycle that it's okay. It's not. It's any vehicle. So, and that's what happens is that a lot of drivers can't get to, you can't drive a truck because you can't get insured because you got a bad driving record. So that's one of the biggest deals on this whole thing. But the main headline on this here was trucking giant beefs up fleet size to meet surging demand. J.B. Hunt doubles the size of its fleet order. And I'm guessing this is when they ordered their trucks for the 2021 year. It says J.B. Hunt Transportation Services is doubling the size of its 2021 fleet order in an effort to keep pace with surging customer demand. The Lowell, Arkansas-based transportation and logistics provider will buy 12,000 container units and 3,000 trailers. The increased order size will result in $1.25 billion of capital expenditures during the current fiscal year, up from the company's original guidance of $850 million to $900 million. So, boom. And their stock prices rose because of that. So, there you go. It says here, our customer demand is significant, said Bradley Hicks, Executive Vice President of and President of Highway Services at J.B. Hunt. The need for rail and trucks began to pick up last summer as COVID-19 lockdowns lifted, causing retailers and manufacturers to restock depleted inventories. The demand is expected to remain strong as more people are vaccinated and the economic reopenings forges ahead. And we all said this, that, once all of these states end their lockdowns completely, which hopefully they'll do sooner than later, you're just going to see the economy just surge. This is all, it's all going to come back without any kind of government effort. You don't need the government. It just, the government shut it down at the beginning of this whole thing. And then all you got to do is lift the restrictions and the economy will open back up. And hopefully it'll get going. It'll probably be better in the short term than it was when it first went down, but I don't see it getting back to full like it was before, without, some type of government releasing of restrictions, because there's a lot of restrictions out there on a lot of industries. Here I live in the area where they have refineries and they do a lot of oil field work, and there's a lot of people out right now that are kind of out of a job, or their hours are reduced because they can't do the job because the government says we don't want that to be done right now, the drilling or refining or whatever. It says, additionally, the industry is facing the most challenged driver market in the 37 years as the pandemic and other factors resulted in 220,000 fewer available drivers, according to J.B. Hunt COO Nicholas Hobbs. J.B. Hunt is not concerned the driver shortage will result in an oversupply of containers on the market. We've made this decision knowing that we could fully utilize those containers that we announced, Hicks said. And I believe that too, because that's another thing, private industry. We always talk about how can the private industry do better than any kind of government industry? Well, this is what the private industry does, is they have these reports. They have all these numbers. They know that they can use this stuff. They wouldn't buy it if they couldn't use it. When stuff sits empty, it's not sitting empty because there's no freight. It's sitting empty because they're waiting to be transported. You've got empty, like right now where I work, we have a lot of empty trailers sitting on our yard down here in Corpus because we don't have enough trucks to come down and pick them up. And every now and then, when there's a surge in demand in a certain area, whether it be Houston, San Antonio, or Dallas or whatever, then they'll send a bunch of trucks down here, like either with loaded trailers or just bobtail, to come pick these empties up because they need to utilize them. But sometimes they sit just because there's not a demand for the trucks to come down and get them. And if you're gonna have them sit for a little bit, you're not going to be paying a bunch of money if you're going to move them somewhere where they're going to sit. You're going to make sure that you've got places that you need them. And sometimes when they're needed, there's not enough trucks to go get them and bring them. We did see that a lot with these local companies, like up in Dallas. They say, oh, we need 20 trailers, and it's like, yeah, I got 20 trailers over here, but I ain't got no trucks to bring them to you. So we need trucks. We need drivers, and I think that just like we talk about like LTL. A lot of drivers go out and make local deliveries during the day, and then they come in and they say, I'm ready to go home. He goes, no, we need you to run and move some trailers first. And all they do is they move trailers from one customer to another because that customer has a higher demand, so they need to move them, and that stuff gets moved around. So that kind of stuff is out there. And these private companies, they know all that. They move it around. They know. Some of them, they move in their best interest. One company might have an interest. The other company has a different interest. So, they kind of battle each other. So, you never know with what happens with that. It says here, J.B. Hunt on Thursday evening reported first quarter revenue rose 15% year over year to $2.622 billion. Net earnings were $104.8 million, or $1.37 per share, up from 98 cents the prior year. Shares were up 24% this year through Thursday, outperforming the S&P 500 11% gain. So, J.B. Hunt probably is the biggest, as far as like everything. There are probably not that many over-the-road truck drivers hauling for J.B. Hunt as much as they're used to. They probably, like J.B. Hunt, Schneider, and Swift has got into this too. they're more of a brokerage firm than they are of a trucking company. They have more money invested in brokering out the freight to other carriers than they do actually running it with their own trucks. Now, they'd like to be able to run their own trucks and all that, but they see that there is a cost. And that's what we see out there all the time now is that due to, like talking about before, it's really hard to get new drivers get going because of the restrictions and COVID, and a lot of government offices are still locked down because of that. You know, it's harder to find drivers with clean records. That it's like, let somebody else deal with all that trouble of finding drivers. We'll just book the freight and put it in our trailers, and then we'll just contract everything else out. And you know, you might get a lower rate out of that because there might be more desperate people to haul freight, and they'll run it cheaper so they can haul it. So, you know, that's the way the market goes. You know, truck drivers, if you're a good truck driver and you know, maybe you're trying to make it as an owner operator and you don't seem to be doing that well, in my opinion, it has nothing to do with your driving skills. It's about business and running a business. So if you're not getting a good rate, or if you're not controlling your expenses, those are two different parts. Now, if you're a good driver where you can drive and you not have accidents and show up on time, and you might not be good at running the numbers and all that like that, you know, there are companies out there paying you good money to be a good company driver, that where you're reliable, you show up and you deliver the freight without having any kind of issues or accidents. You know, they're out there paying good money. So don't think that just because you're stuck in a job, you know, it all depends on what you want too. If you want a job where you're home and you don't live in a big city, you know, and you're not willing to move to a place that might pay more, well, then you're going to be limited. I mean, you are restricted depending on what you want. So all those things come into play. Don't think that just because you live somewhere out in West Texas and you're not making that much that you know, I should be making more. Well, you know, maybe that particular area is not paying that well. Maybe it should be a different area or do a different job. You know, I hate to use West Texas, but I mean, that's just what I'm saying. It's a region. If you pick a different region, you know, the company I work for, the drivers that live in Illinois get paid like $10 an hour more than anybody else in the whole company, but they live in Chicago. So come on now, you know, the drivers that live in Atlanta, they get paid on the same rate, you know, almost as much, not that much, but almost, because they live in Atlanta. You know, I live in Texas. I don't make that much money per hour because I live in Texas. Cost of living is lower than it might be in another area, whether it be like Virginia or Ohio or something like that. So that thing keeps redoing. I'm going to close it. It keeps resetting like it's trying to, you know, it's trying to go out of its way. But yeah, that kind of deal on that article there. I thought it was really cool. You know, we've got great attention out there for like the national, like when those people do that. And I think it's a big deal. And I'd like to see more of that. You know, every time I see maybe an article that got posted in a big national news outlet like that, I always try to share those, because the more attention we can grow out there and we can share those articles and share those videos, it's always a great thing. So yeah, you can check us out, redneckanize.com. Don't forget to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate everybody doing that for us. And like I said, we're here live every Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Call in 516-387-1733. And to be part of the conversation, you just hit 1. So